Hey, I'm Randy, and you're watching The Cheap Audio Man. Here at The Cheap Audio Man, we talk about high-value hi-fi, home theater, and headphone equipment. And today, it's very exciting. 10 speakers ranked from worst to first, under $300. So sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and let's rank some speakers. Obviously, I'm not in Cam Studios, which is my house. No, I'm on the road. I'm doing some stuff with family. But this idea jumped in my head, and I thought, how cool would it be to rank 10 speakers from worst to first, all of which are under $300. So they're all very reasonable speakers. The first speaker on the worst to first, under $300, is the Polk XT20. Now, there's nothing really fundamentally bad about the speaker. It's just that there are a lot of good speakers in this category. The XT series is a new line that Polk put out that replaces the T series. I was never a big fan with the T series. However, I actually own the XT20 and it is good. The problem is it's only good and the retail price is $300. If that speaker came in around $150, my opinions on it would probably be a little bit different. But at $300, there are a lot of other speakers that I think outperform the XT20. It does, however, have a 6.5-inch woofer, a 1-inch Terraline driver, has a decent frequency response, images and soundstage as well, and is fun. A little bumpy in the bass. I don't think the cabinet is quite as good as some of the other speakers in this category, but it's not a bad speaker. I feel like the XT20 is maybe a step or two up from what people would throw in the garage. It's kind of a garage speaker, but that's fine because garage speakers can sound really good. It's too expensive. That's why the Polk XT20 comes in at the worst. Coming in at number 9, the Jamo S803. Again, not anything particularly wrong with this speaker, it's just that there are other speakers that are better. At $150, this is a great value in hi-fi. This has a bit of a V-shaped curve or U-shaped curve, which means there's emphasis on the bass, boom boom, thump thump, sparkly on the highs. This speaker does have a pretty decent waveguide, which means it puts the tweeter information out in a very nice pattern, which means you get very good soundstage and imaging out of this speaker. The clarity just isn't quite there compared to a lot of the competition in this category. It is still a great sounding speaker, and at $150, still a pretty compelling speaker because there is a whole 5 or 7 channel line of this. They have Dolby Atmos speakers. You can click right into the top. So the Jamo series is quite good. It's just not quite as good as the other ones, and I think where this speaker suffers a bit is in the clarity compared to the other speakers. If you're new here, consider subscribing. We have a whole bunch of videos, over 470. Like this video if you like it. You can always take back your like and subscribe to the channel. It's a lot of fun. Number 8 on this list. This may surprise some people. It shouldn't though. It's the Elac B6.2, the successor to the widely popular Elac B6, which I bought and I love. I have purchased the B6.2 a total of 3 times. Now one of those was a mess up because they sent me the B5.2 instead of the B6.2. In any regard, I have owned the B6.2 twice because I keep telling myself there's something wrong with me. This is a better speaker than what it is. I found this speaker to be lacking on the bottom end and a little bit forward in the mid-range and not very sparkly on top. I have heard that these speakers take hundreds of hours of burn-in, and that could be the case. but I let them run for a while. Compared to the B6, this was a huge departure for Elac, and it was a speaker that I didn't particularly care for. Not to mention, it's $299 on sale. There is still some things that are special. It does image well, instrument separation is great, but this overall sound signature never resonated with me, no pun intended, at the $299 point, and I just wanted to put that money elsewhere. So, purchased 3 times, returned 3 times. The Elac B6.2. The Polk ES15, the Signature Elite Series, which doesn't make sense why the model number would be ES, because it's Signature Elite. It should be SE. It doesn't matter. Anyway, they're the new revamped version of the S series, and they're pretty good. The ES15, I believe to be a very fun, engaging, warmer speaker. 5.25-inch woofer, 1-inch Terraline soft dome tweeter, wide frequency response, and it has a very good port. One of the things that Polk does very well is bass and bass extension on small-ish speakers. Some people may find the bass a bit boomy, a bit muddy. I don't think it is. And I think it's a way better speaker than the S15, which I also own in the house. I actually own all these. Polk, I don't think anybody sent me any of these speakers. I think I've purchased every one of these speakers. Anyway, the Polk S15 is great, a little romantic, doesn't quite have the clarity of some of the other speakers on the top of this list, but it's still a great speaker. There's an entire line of the Signature Elites, so if you want the center channel, rears, all that good stuff, you can get it. Good speaker, real good speaker. It's coming in at $299, but that's the retail, and it will go on sale for sure. The Elac BS41, 4-inch woofer here, 1-inch soft dome driver. Looks to be kind of a combination of the original B6, B4, B5s and the new generation, B5.2, 6.2. Not designed by Andrew Jones, but sounds identical to the first generation Andrew Jones. $150. Occasionally it will go on sale for even less than that. Pretty linear speaker, a little bit on the warm side. Lacks a little bit of clarity on the bottom, but overall is a very enjoyable, easy listening speaker, but still has some detail in there. And I have heard my buddy, my patron, Neil, is working on a crossover mod. I know. I don't go all in on these crossover mods because I think the speaker stands on its own out of the box. But maybe you could jazz it up a little bit better. And at $150 is easy to throw parts, not be out a huge amount, and have a really good sounding speaker. The amount of bass this thing puts out for its size is truly remarkable. So the BS41, good speaker, very good speaker. We're bordering on great now. The Elac B5.2. I think the B5.2 is better than the 6.2. I think it has more bass presence, and I think is a more balanced speaker across the board. The problem with the B5.2 is I think the price, because right now it's $329. Thing about the B5.2, it generally goes on sale. So if the 6.2 is on sale, sometimes the 5.2 is not on sale. The B5.2 generally goes all the way down to $230, and at $230, I think is a very compelling speaker to look at. I just think it's right here on the list, kind of right in the middle, because it's good, but some of these other speakers have some magic to them. So the B5.2 is probably, if you're really looking for a solid performer across the board, has decent clarity, has good bass extension, good imaging, good soundstage, front port, maybe on the boring side, then I would look at the B5. Who wants a boring speaker? But some people like a really linear speaker. The B5.2 on sale, very good speaker. And I'm actually thinking about getting another pair of those in. Okay, this is where the list gets very hard because all of these speakers I think are wonderful. I could live with all of these. Now, these speakers aren't exactly linear, with the exception of this one that I'm going to tell you, the Stage A130. The Stage A130 is probably the flattest measuring, well, it's not on this list per se, but out of the top group, it's the flattest measuring speaker out of the top group. Images and sound stages, so easy. I just put them up and they totally disappeared. So this is a really good speaker, technically. It lacks just a little bit of excitement, but it's more exciting than the B5.2 from Elac. A Stage A130 is a absolute bargain. Right now on Crutchfield, they are $199, and that pretty much is their street price. Wonderfully balanced speaker. There's really nothing to complain about at all with this speaker at this price. Just not quite as magical as the rest of the speakers on this list. The Sony SSCS5s, coming in at number 3. I drone on and on and on about this speaker. I love it. I really love it. Probably my favorite speaker of all time. Not just at its price, but of all time, period. It just does something that gets me excited, engages me with the music, and gives me joy. The problem with the Sony is they start to fall apart at louder volumes, so around 85 dB. To be fair, 85 dB is very loud. And they can be a bit forward in the upper mid-range, and sometimes some cymbals can be a bit dry, just not sound completely natural. But that's rare. I mean, this is a great speaker. Cool thing about this speaker is it comes in about 3 different prices. Ridiculous retail price occasionally is $230, but it will go on sale down to $170, which is the new metal price, and all the way down to $80, I believe, on super sales. Certain holidays. At $170, still a good deal, but at $80, it is unheard of that you get that much performance out of something that is that expensive. Even at $170, it still is a very, very good performing speaker. If you want a more balanced linear frequency response, the Stage A130 is probably the way to go. But if you want a little bit of fun, excitement, move you emotionally, then it would be the Sony SSCS5s. Number 2 speaker on this list, from worst to first, is the Jamo C93ii. This is a crazy deal. This speaker used to sell for way over $400. Right now it's selling for $300. The tower, everything in this line is selling about half of what it used to be. And these didn't go on sale regularly. I paid about this much for these used, and I still think it got a good deal. The C93iis have a 6-inch woofer with a real phase plug, 1-inch soft dome, I think silk dome tweeter. Crazy soundstage and imaging, crazy amounts of detail. Probably the most detail I've ever heard out of a silk dome or soft dome tweeter. To the point where I thought, I was watching some TV and I was like, God, is there something wrong with the TV? It was just that the dialogue was so incredibly clear. A little distracting at first, but then I got used to it, so it's fine. Really punchy. I don't think these things measure flat at all. But what they do is stir me emotionally. Solid. I mean, I couldn't believe how much boom comes out of these little speakers, and the design is very cool. While this speaker isn't on paper what some audiophiles would consider to be perfect or even attractive as far as the frequency response, you take a look at them and you turn them on and listen to them, I think most people are going to get blown away by these. And at $300, and I don't know how long they'll last at $300, but at $300, it is crazy. Super fun. Keep in mind, they're a little bit boosted on the bottom and the top. But if that's a sound that you like, incredible. The number 1 speaker on this list, Emotiva B1+. I actually think the B1+s measure fairly well. This speaker separates itself out from the rest of the pack because of one thing, and that's clarity. Some of the tonality of the speaker may not be what some people would consider to be natural, but the amounts of clarity and detail retrieval on this speaker, I would almost guarantee you, if you've never heard this speaker, that you're going to hear things that you've never heard before in your music. And that's what personally hooks me. If a speaker is saying, hey, here's extra music from a song that you've heard 1,000 times, and I'm like, whoa! And it's not a different version, not a remastered version. That's the part that gets me and really keeps me coming back. And at $250 to be able to have that experience is crazy. I think the speaker's actually being discontinued. Now, hopefully, Emotiva comes out with maybe a successor to this speaker. But at $250, this may be replaced by a more expensive speaker. They're small. They can do desktop duty, they can do surround duty, or they can even do just front channel duty. And they have a whole other line of speakers. Now they're more expensive. This is $250. But what this thing does, the amount of motion that it stirs in me, how much I enjoy the music with this speaker, it's number one. It's not number one by a huge margin, but it's number one by a good enough margin. All the other speakers I think are bunched up, maybe 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, and then maybe 8, 9. The B1 Plus from Emotiva, truly special speaker. You just can't go wrong at $250. You may hate the sound, but I'll put it to you this way. If you're not into clarity and a little bit of excitement on top, but it's still being balanced with the rest of the sound signature, if you want a warm speaker, run. Don't walk away from the Emotiva B1 Plus, because it is nothing but detail, sparkle, a magnifying glass into the music. Wonderful. And I actually sold my pair, but probably getting another one in though. So if you want to support the channel, you can sign up for Patreon, patreon.com/cheapaudioman. Every Sunday night we have patron-only Zooms, also have a patron-only Facebook group and a Discord server, and we do Patreon giveaways. You can also sign up for Amazon Music or Tidal Music. Links in the description. Those, you get a free trial. I think Tidal's running a 3-month trial right now. I think you have to pay $10, but you get 3 months. You can also use the affiliate links. Links in the description. If you click and you buy, I do get a commission, but it doesn't cost you any more. You can also buy some merchandise or something. You can also use the thanks button. Little heart down at the bottom has a money sign in it. Buy me a cup of coffee while I'm on the road or something like that. You don't have to though. So don't binge watch anything on Netflix or Hulu. You got 10 solid speaker choices here. At least 5 really, really solid speaker choices here. So maybe get one of those and fill your soul with happiness. And with that, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man.